my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
Help!
Here,
Oh.
take my hand.
Ah!
Come on. You're gonna fall unless you take my hand.
No, give me your other hand.
Oh, my other hand isn't strong enough. You take my little hand.
No! Get it away from me!
Take it. Take my hand.
Ah!
I may be down, but I'm not out. Tom Brady's never out. You broke the rules. You broke the rules. You breaking the rules. You broke the rules. You broke the rules. How you found out I broke the rules? Yeah, you broke the rules. I'm commissioner. I can break the rules because you guys broke the rules before. But I didn't bust you enough. Just because you didn't bust us enough for breaking the rules, that doesn't mean you can break the rules busting us now. Both of you guys, I can do whatever I want. I'm breaking the rules. You, I'm Tom Brady. You, I'm the commissioner. I'll make up new rules. You guys, yours rules. Other rules. Butters.
That's my secret. That's what's inside this giant forehead. Actually, no, the forehead, that one that was Ollie, I think he drew that one. And he drew me so handsome, as NTM says, a chiseled jaw, which is yeah, that must be mewing. Actually, I got recommended a video on how to get a good jawline. I'm like, what are you trying to say? YouTube recommendations. Look at the size of that boy's head. Yes, but on the inside there is a little giant foreheaded me controlling everything, just like in Men in Black. Good morning, everybody. How are you? 2 days out from the US election. Hope you're doing well. We are suffering down here in Australia. In all that hubbub about the election, the Australian government just slid in a bill that pretty much is like Chinese style friggin' online ID stuff. So I'm feeling the exact opposite of that, Mo, right now. It is crazy. I mean, it's I was about to say I can't believe it, but I do believe it. Grow the beard, hide the job. That is the way. That is the way. Yeah. Just like all of a sudden, everyone's like, "What the hell?" They slid it in by saying we're going to ban anyone under 16 from being on social media in Australia, which I think like most people agree with anyway. That's how they do it. But that's like a parents thing. That's not a government thing. And how are you going to do that? Oh, well, we're going to have Face ID and online like government issued user ID that you have to, so we can track you and everything. Like what? So yeah, I guess I need to get my VPN going again. Fizz will never move to Australia after this. Yeah, nope, and nope, exactly. Yeah, Canada, Australia, the UK. We're heading in a bad direction, but I don't know what to do because every time I vote or whatever, I'm in the extreme minority down here. Australians love authority. It's crazy. But anyway, I don't want to bring a dampener on all the celebrations happening over there. So I'll just move on, I suppose. Jav Starler came in first. Welcome, Jav. Jav's over in Germany. I think Germany is turning around. I think. I hope for Jav's sake and all other Germans too. He's up there with 7 in first. Congratulations. We've got Maromi in the house. What's up? Hail Mo Biggs. The multiple golden wrench winner. Jolly's in the house. It is great to see Amanda B here. What's up, Amanda? I'm excited for the upcoming nominations. You're doing it in 2, yeah? So there's 2 lots of nominations, and then the week after is the actual vote, which will be always fun. NTM is here. What's up, NTM? We got Mark's Music Obsession. I see Jay Ryan here. I see who else do I see? Is that it? No. Sleeping Psychopathy. It's crazy down here. Mo says, there's always room in Camel's bunk bed. For the whole family? I think wherever I go, everyone has to go. Next 7 this Saturday at 7. Looking forward to it. And I don't have any trivia or anything else to distract me. We got the Gooch in the house. Yo, what's up? Are you ready for Arcane Season 2? You know I am. I've been trying to convince this crowd, and some of them are on board. But many of them, particularly this man right here, is fighting me tooth and nail. They're not having a bar of it. But I think the Don was convinced to check it out yesterday. We were talking about it on the Art Share. He's going to go over and look at it. He's like, what is this arcane thing everyone is talking about? It's like, just strap in, get yourself ready for the greatest animated show of all time. Batman's sleeping bags for Mel and the kids. Yeah, I don't know about that. The award seems really fun. It says Sleeping Psychopathy. It's a great way to see more projects I'm otherwise exposed to. It is a fun night. It's half of the fun is the actual event, and then the other half is everyone complaining about it afterwards. And I see poor Amanda out there trying to like reasonably discuss what happened on the show with people on Twitter. But I mean, the answer is always the same. It's like, if you want it different, vote. But everyone's distracted arguing with each other. So I tried Bancroft, couldn't go those terrible graphics. Arcane terrible graphics. Oh my god, people just have different ideas. I love the animation. The writing though is what sets it above everything else. The animation is like here. I think it's going to be better this time round too. The writing though is like way up there. All bow before the Roqueforts. Yes. That's my motto. That's how I operate in life. What would Kenneth Roquefort do? Arcane feels like I'm watching a mid GameCube cutscene. I just don't know how to. I don't know what I can say. How do I do I help these kids? Amanda says, yes, exactly. The whole process is open from rules. They have a show on discussing the rules on how they're going to nominate. And then people vote in that too. It couldn't be fairer. Please do, if you haven't, you guys all probably have, I'm sure. Please do sign up to join the mailing list. I don't know when exactly I'll be going live with these trading cards, but I mean, you'll have advance notice, but there will be a discount if you are signed up to the mailing list. There'll be some kind of coupon available. So please go over and do that. Where is this screen? I'm trying to look for it here. And also go check me out on Global Comics. I have put up the Lucent Waking Dream. You can read it over there. Inglorious panel to panel format, full page format, and soon to come. It's going to take a long time to get this done. What's it called? Vertical format. Although that'll be released in episodes. It'll be a whole thing. I'll be doing seasons. Do a season of a comic book. That's how they do it. I don't know. But check it out. I got over 2,000 views already. It's crazy. I didn't know how or why or where from, but they're looking at it. Have you given away any more of those memberships? The other day on the horse race, I gave away one, but we got plenty to go. I'll be giving them away, I think, as I promote the trading cards. Mo points out, this is the first year he hasn't been gatekept from the chat awards. You have been very, it's been noticeable. It is democracy manifest. I'm just glad that guy died before he saw his country turn into what it's become. I'm not glad he's dead. He was a funny character. I better be on the mailing list at this point. I think you are, Mark. You've bought about 5 orders, I think, something like that. I'm sure most people in the chat have read the Lucent, but if you haven't, give it a go. You'd never believe this man made such a good book. I need to put that on the. I've got a couple of reviews here I've pulled out from Mark Barron and Narwhal. You'd never believe Bancroft made such a good book. Mo Biggs. We'll put that there. Amanda says it's the 5th year doing it and has been talked about on bigger channels. So I do kind of laugh when people say they haven't heard of it. Well, lots of new people around these parts this year, I think. So it'll be interesting. As Aaron Lepresti says, it's always just an honor to be nominated. And it is indeed. All right, what are we doing? We're working on trading cards. I've been busy doing, actually, well, I've got you full screen. I didn't show these off full screen yesterday. For anyone who hasn't seen them, there's one new one. I'm working on another one over there, which I will wait until it's finished to show off. But some of you might not have seen these yet. These are the physical inks of all of these, which will be going up for auction on eBay. One a week, I think, for the whole sort of funding period. When I say funding period, it really is just a thing to see how many special cards I want to print. I really like that one. I wasn't sure this one was going to be like as good as the rest, but now I really do like it. I like the Shakespeare reference. Utnapishtim there. I can't wait to draw the Gilgamesh. Amanda says, any idea when you're hoping to launch? I think maybe in a few weeks. I think I was going to hold off until all the art is done, but I'm finding I'm able to do the backs of these cards pretty quickly. That was what I was worried about, because I've got to have comics on the back. And but you know, it's pretty simple stuff. You know, obviously, you can't fit too much on the back of a trading card. So, yeah, I think, you know, I'm thinking in a couple of weeks, but I'll do a big thing. I got to get them colored up. There's that one which sort of started it all, which amazingly all started from the art share. I saw something that just I was inspired to do this. I'm going to make trading cards. How about that? There's the last one I did. So these will all go up for auction. All the auctions will end on the stream, so it'll be like an auction stream, but it'll be run through eBay, so I don't have to deal with anything. Keep dropping my phone. What's it doing in my pocket? Read it, Bancroft. By that, I mean my campaign ad. Okay, here we go. Mo Biggs. It is what it is. That reminds me, I finished one vote ahead of Eric July in the straw poll. It is what it is. There's no bidness like Mo Bidness. Very well said, Mo Biggs. Reminds me of this one.
All right. Time to get down to business.
What sort of business do you suppose he is getting down to?
How do I redeem my global comics code? Do I have to? Yeah, make an account. Accounts are free. You just, you know, you can sign up, use your email, sign up through Google, whatever. And then I think, yeah, you just go to your account and it says get a gold membership. And I'm sure that's where you would put in the code. But I don't know. I actually haven't gotten the gold yet. I will get it soon. But yeah, if you have any trouble, let me know and I'll get in touch with Chris. And Bancroft has subtly made it clear that he is in fact a butt guy. Lol. I make no aspersions. I say nothing. Hello, Mr. Moon. We were just talking about Australia's going full totalitarian down here and how the whole family's going to have to come over and stay in your bunk bed and sleep in Batman sleeping bags. So that'll happen. I love how Mike's suddenly a good artist now. Douche. It took a while. It took a long while. Yeah, that's it. You might need to set up a blanket fort for the Bancroft clan after new internet ID law. We do still have it. I think it has to go through the Senate, but this is the problem with Australian politics. There is bipartisan. We have a union party down here. I remember I told you during the lockdown, as we were being full-on communist China curfew held in our homes, and they were building camps to haul people away to if, you know, for whatever reason. The opposition party came out, and instead of saying we shouldn't be doing any of this, we should be, you know, being an opposition, they said the government is so incompetent. They didn't build this camp fast enough, and they spent too much money on it. We would have built this camp in 6 weeks at half the price. I was like, this is not good. Decades of hard work, overnight success. That's how it is, and I'm happy with that. People want to say, look at this overnight success over here. Camel says, Bancrofts are always welcome in the ivory tower. Florida is the place to be. Florida and Texas, man. Even actually California. Did you see the map of California? It is lurching to the right. It's crazy. Even New York. Reminds me of this.
America. America. Fuck yeah! Come out again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America! Fuck yeah! Freedom is the only way, yeah! Terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America! Fuck yeah! So lick my butt and suck on my balls, America! Fuck yeah!
Suck on my balls. It's glorious. It's glorious. People are just getting tired of it, says Jay Ryan. I wish they'd start getting tired of it here, but they love it. They love a boot on their face. It's crazy. And, we'll deal with it. Back when Matt and Trey were cool. Hello. And that movie was so funny. I need to go back and watch it again. My county in Oregon voted 78% Trump. Wow. Now that is nuts. That is nuts. All right. What am I doing? I'm doing highlights. I'm going to make an overlay. No, soft overlay. Let's make an overlay layer. Let's black that out. And let's just go to town on these characters. Caricatures. We actually used to play that in patrols in Iraq circa 2004. Dude, I remember watching that movie in the theater. There was a whole row of us, about, I don't know, 10 of us, and no one else. It wasn't that popular. Like, there weren't many people in the cinema, but other people weren't loving it as much as we were. We were pissing ourselves. And the vomit scene, the puppet sex scene. Oh my God. Crazy. Camel says, I voted Trump, sat the last 2 elections out, but I couldn't this time. And I feel like that's exactly what happened. People who'd never voted Trump before, people who didn't normally vote, they came out. I think that was the thing. And now, what's amazing now, the hilarious, go find, because Twitter is a massive algorithmic bubble. It's like there's 2 different worlds. But try and, if you can, get onto liberal threads, and to try and find them, trying to figure out how this happened. Because, to them, it was like, they were like, everything was pointing to a Harris landslide. And you're like, what the hell? I was saying this on Twitter yesterday. Every pundit I saw was predicting 312 for at least a month. And not just like saying, oh, it's going to be 312, going through the numbers in every battleground state and saying, okay, so this is what the polls say. And the polls were off by this much in the last 2 elections. So we can expect that they're probably going to be the same. So, Trump will get this, it'll be this amount. And it was exactly what they said. Exactly what happened. I watched this guy, Depressed Ginger, who had 50,000. He's just a dude in his friggin' bedroom. Had 50,000 people watching election night. Michael Dietschy was over there. I saw him in the chat. Every single thing he predicted came right. Everything. And just by purely looking at the numbers. Actually looking at them objectively. And everything he said on election night came to pass. He was like, all right, so Ohio's going to come in blue. Pennsylvania's going to come in blue. We're going to do these, and it's like, and everyone's freaking out in the chat. And it's like, what are you freaking out for? This is exactly happening how it's supposed to happen. And it did. It was crazy. It was wild. But people live in these bubbles. They just watch legacy media, and they didn't know. They didn't know any of this. And yeah, that's why they're freaking out. They watch The View. Mo says, I watched Depressed Ginger just because it was one dude and he was less noisy and obnoxious, not bragging about his channel growth 2/3 of the time. Yeah, that is true. He was, yeah. I used to watch, the sort of more pundit streams, your Steven Crowders and your whatever, Tim Cass and stuff. But yeah, I'd much rather just watch a guy. And it was about, the election. And not, him. Dems pissed off the Amish in Pennsylvania. Shout out to what's his face? Can't remember his name now. I was telling him to Mel the other day. He was instrumental in registering 180,000 Amish. I love that meme. The Amish are coming, like the Ents, the March of the Ents. That was pretty glorious. Riding in their buggies into vote. And the Amish don't, that's the thing, like, The Amish don't vote, so they weren't obvious previously, like not traditionally, they don't vote. So they weren't on any of these polls. You know, so that's why these pundits who actually analyze it can say, watch out in Pennsylvania. There's going to be something happening there that hasn't necessarily happened before. Kamala scared me more than Hillary or Biden. Yeah, I mean, she was. You would know that's a complete and utter puppet. That would have been a complete and utter puppet administration. I mean, you imagine her standing up to any like strongman political leader around the world? Get out of it. If there's ever been a like a imposter syndrome sort of situation, that was with her. She had no business being there. It just goes to show if you're in a bubble, you aren't seeing the full picture. Yeah, and we're all in bubbles. But as long as you recognize that, as long as you understand that, and search out information accordingly, and I suppose the good thing about being on the right is everywhere in the mainstream is left, so you just sort of get it through osmosis. But if you're on the left, there's nowhere that you normally would go where you would see alternative viewpoints, so they have to go out of their way to see the full picture, whereas we know the full picture just by life. So it's not difficult. It's just part of your day-to-day business. Scott Presler, that's him. Thank you, Grey Wolf. Cameloon says it's same CG is so fractured now. This could have been a great few days for the community. Instead, it's bittersweet. Yeah. Everyone's gone to their respective corners, going on their own. America is Rumspringer for the next 4 years, baby. I'm so happy for you guys, but I'm also happy for the world. I said this on Twitter yesterday as well. The president is still the leader of the free world. America is still the world's largest economy for now. I mean, at least, largest economy in the Western world. I think they're still bigger than China. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with it. And, a strong American economy is just good for business, global business, good for everything. A strong American military is a safer world for the most part. And so I'm looking forward to, tensions globally dropping and all that sort of stuff, just like everyone else. But on a more personal level, I mean, I do 90% of my business is with the US. I am hoping and praying for a fast economic recovery. We've seen it happen. I mean, I don't think Trump is going to be as radical as the Venezuelans or anything like that, but we see economies almost turn on a dime when there's a big kind of change. I mean, he's hoping. Idine says, I feel like you could ignore personality, you could ignore policy, and just look at party behavior. There's such nefarious going on there. I don't know how you would vote D. I don't know either, but people say the same about Trump. They say, I don't know how you can vote for this evil man with no redeemable qualities. He's a felon, all that sort of stuff. But I agree. I agree. It really was no choice at all. But no, the funny thing I was mentioning earlier, I forgot to loop around. I forgot to do the Trump loop back, is the 2020 election. You know, people are like, what the hell happened? Look at these numbers. What's going on? And everyone on everyone on the sort of liberal side on Twitter is going, oh my God, they've rigged the count somehow and gotten rid of our 20 million or whatever it's going to be. By the end of when they count all California, it's probably going to be more like 10 million, 10 million. They've gotten rid of all of these voters. And everyone on the right is saying this is clear evidence that something shady happened in 2020. It's so abnormal. It's so above. Like, you've got on both sides, you got the Republicans slowly growing, and the Democrat vote slowly either flatlining or slowly going down, except for 2020 when both of them just like shoot up. But actually, if you look at the Trump number, it's actually kind of on a curve. So, yeah. Jim Cox says, my lefty friend thinks my job is in jeopardy because we build stuff in Mexico and China. It could be. I don't know. We'll have a look. I mean, I think things are going to change, but I don't think it's going to be, you know, businesses will adapt. It really depends on what you actually, you know, what business you're actually in, I'm sure. You know, one thing I would love to see, I don't know if it's going to happen, but, you know, when America starts actually enforcing its laws on the, you know, on being allowed in the country. And to me, it is so crazy. You know, it's funny that I say this coming from Australia where everything is turning to crap, but it is just so crazy that in America, it's just sort of accepted by so many people that, yeah, you have millions and millions of people in the country illegally that work. Like, that is just unheard of. We have about, I don't know, we have about 100,000 visa overstayers here. You know, we're talking like Chinese exchange students, or not like Chinese students and people who just overstayed their visas. Like, they all have to be working under the table. There's no, it's just not a, at least I may not know about it, but this is not a thing that people accept, that you've got people just are in your country and they walked in and now they're here, and you have to, like, that's not a thing anywhere in the world, I don't think. But, you know, if that means that, oh, so many more jobs become available for young Americans, you know, getting their first jobs like it used to be, you know, you'd work at a whatever. You know, when I started out, I worked packing shelves at the Big W, which is like a Target. Mo says, at least they applied for a visa. Here they just show up and get free visa gift card. Exactly. They're visa overstays. They were at one point traveled to the country legally. They applied for a visa. They received a visa. A lot of them are probably just Brits as well, who are just like, what, I don't know what they're doing here. They're just here. But yeah, we have a policy here that if you arrive in Australia by boat, which essentially means you're coming here illegally, you will never, ever, under any circumstances, doesn't matter why you came, you'll never, ever, under any circumstances, settle in Australia. That's in the law. If you arrive by boat, it is not going to happen ever. They need something like that in America. It is crazy over there. But that law was instituted when we had our old based conservative government. Graph started spreading yesterday morning before the final numbers were in. She was 1K less than O of Obama's year. Jaro says it's definitely not a thing in Asian countries. I don't think it's a thing anywhere. It's just America. I mean, everyone wants to come to America, you know, and they do. And America just seems to let them in. It's bizarre. There's billions of people in the world. Is everyone going to come in? It's crazy. Ellie's in the house working while lurking. What's up, Ellie? Milton Friedman had a point, says Iodine. Illegal immigration is okay as long as it's illegal. If they aren't getting, you can't have illegal immigration and, you know, welfare sort of, or like whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, social security or whatever. But those two things can't exist. And that's the sort of bogus argument. You know, America was built on migrants, but they didn't get in and get free hotel rooms. You know, they had to work and build, be part of the society. But it eventually just gets to a point where you can't sustain the numbers that are coming in. I mean, it's just not, it's not a thing. You don't even have a country at that point. Mo and Jim are having a intense mayo discussion. Mayonnaise. Very important. Iodine points out, I'm gonna get live chat. Hang on, I didn't see that in the thing. The migrants that came here all worked their asses off and wanted to become part of the society. They wanted to be Americanized. That's the hilarious thing when you get on these liberal threads where they completely conflate what's happening today with illegal immigration and legal migration, both that's happening now and historically, as if it's the same thing. And they were completely, just completely could not understand that legal migrants could be against illegal immigration. It just doesn't compute, you know? To me, it's the most obvious thing in the world. Anyone who's had to struggle to emigrate to a country, learn the language, you know, pick up their family and travel somewhere else and do it legally, and go through all the rigmarole of that, doesn't want to see people just walk in. It's so obvious. Henry says, my mum grew up middle class. She loved bologna sandwiches with Miracle Whip until the day she died. It's like me and Golden Gay Times. Clark and Fairy Bread. Clark is into Fairy Bread. He wants it, you know. To me, Fairy Bread is what you eat at children's parties. It's a special, weird little treat. He wants it for breakfast. I suppose I should be proud he's very Australian. Eileen says, yeah, that's why he gained so much the Hispanic vote. Yeah, that's what they can't understand. They're like, don't they realize he wants going to deport them all? There's no getting through to some people. Camel says, if I have to sit in line for 2 hours to ride a roller coaster, the first person I'm going to hate is the guy with the speed pass who cuts the line. It's human bloody nature. It makes so much sense. I don't know why it's difficult for some people to understand. Who was, I think it was Tim Pool said, you know, America is like a, no, I'm going to butcher it. I can't remember. It was a very funny analogy. Yeah, essentially it's like it's just somewhere where you want to be, you know, some fun place, and you know, everyone, oh, it was like it's like a theme park where everyone wants to be, and but you know, people want to come in without paying the entry fee. Well, we got to pay for, you know, the operators and the rides and all this sort of stuff. You know, if you just start letting people into the theme park for free, you're gonna go out of business. Jay Ryan says, sadly, common sense isn't so common anymore. Henry says, my wife is a legal ex-immigrant from South Korea. It took her years and thousands of dollars to become a citizen. My wife is a immigrant. She's French citizen. I mean, I don't know that we had to pay thousands, but yeah, we had to do the whole visa thing for many years. She was a permanent resident for a long time, and then she had to apply for citizenship. It was a whole thing. But I still call her French, not Australian. It's just, that's my way. Camel says, ask anyone if it doesn't believe in borders if they lock their door to their house. If they say yes, they're hypocrites. Well, there are those hilarious videos, you know, right at the end there, of these buses going around to people who said they want to, you know, support refugees or something, or illegal immigrants, and bring them to their houses. It was pretty funny. And then they were like, "Oh no, they can't come in here. No, we don't have room. We've got kids here." You know. Oh, okay. Most of the paperwork, says Mo, was convincing the Australian government to let Bancroft himself back in. And we're like, I don't know if we can accommodate this foreign. It's unusual verticality could be a burden on the economy or pose a national threat. A threat to national security. Jim Cox says, Camel Moon, unblock me. Once in a while, you say something that makes sense. I don't know if that's going to get through, Jim. Ah, what happened? Where'd we go? Forward, yeah, we've exceeded our forward quota for this year. See, I told you. I was like, no, I don't think I will. I love that meme, by the way. I use it often. Ojo says, and the BS about billionaires paying their fair share. Look at her donor list. Google execs and Bezos. Bezos? How do you say that guy's name? Don't eat at Burger King. Oh, that's all. That's one giant. Yeah. Sometimes I need to zoom out and see what I'm doing. See if it's working. Getting a bit in the weeds here. Mark says, I don't want to stay in the land down under. I just want to visit someday. I love my Florida. Yeah, definitely. If you're in Florida, stay in Florida. But come visit. It's still a beautiful country to visit. Very nice people. Good things to see. Despite the government doing their best to oppress the people. Mark says, I travel much the world, not Australia just yet. We are very far away. That's completely understandable. You don't really realize how far away you are until you start traveling yourself at a later age, and then you hear other people talk about travel, and it's just not the same. And they complain about, oh, I've got a 5-hour flight to somewhere, and you're like, 5 hours isn't barely a flight. We are very far off. Looks like I'm giving him lips here. My method with faces is always just hack at it until something looks right. I think actually you don't do his bottom lip. I can't remember. It's been so long. I've always thought you don't need to be scientific with the lighting, as in correct. You know, just close enough and make it look nice. Will do the job. Mo says, to be fair, I don't think the Aussie government, who are all that interested in oppressing Australia, they're just doing the bidding of their CCP overlords. How true? Yeah, well, China owns pretty much all the land, which is outrageous in and of itself. Henry says, I've only been to Canada, Mexico, England, Scotland. I've been to New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, and Borneo, Thailand. I think that's it in Asia. Yeah, Kuching is in Borneo, I think. Yeah. I've been to, when I talk about stopovers, you know, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but they were just stopovers. Oh, I stopped over in Hong Kong as well a couple of times. Kuching. And so the K, Kuching is beautiful, actually. A beautiful place. Less like than mainland. At least it was back then. So cheap, amazing food, nice people. Where else have I been? Italy, Switzerland, Germany, France, England, Netherlands, Belgium. I think that's it. I've been everywhere, man. David L says, see the ginger it emoji. I see it. Yeah, David was posting on a community post. Thank you, everyone who's been posting. I'm going to start doing more membership posts. But he's got the, was it the lawnmower? I can't remember. But he's got the ginger at hand here. I don't know what. YouTube being YouTube, what are you going to do? If you visit Australia, I have 2 words, Mount Nipple. Bancroft worked without a permit in Thailand. He worked under the table, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. I live a few miles from Mount Swastika, says Henry Bemis. Unsurprisingly, they've changed the name recently. Who would have thought? Looks like he has gray hair when I'm doing this. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just putting in, these are the masks that I'll be using to color when I do the coloring. So at the moment, it's all just white. I can make it whatever color I want, but it doesn't really matter because it's just like the mask, essentially. So it looks like cell shading at the moment. capital city isn't called Bangkok for no reason. I think the last time I was in Bangkok, I was 17. So I didn't ever really, I didn't go to, what was it, Pat Pong Road or any of those more disreputable places. I just pretty much, because my dad lived there, so he had a house there in a gated community. That's pretty much where I stayed. But we went and did touristy stuff as well. I never saw the seedy underbelly of Thailand, is what I'm saying. I'm glad I didn't. Don't know about this. Looks a bit weird. Idan says, I saw a photo of Jill Biden in her red pantsuit on voting day. Oh, I think they were very pleased with the outcome. So, like, they've been, who knows how true it is, but there've been reports that she's been, over the moon seeing the Kamala team get trounced. But who knows? Thailand is beautiful, says Jaro, but yeah, Bangkok was gross. So many skeevy Brits. It's the same in Bali, I've heard, but it's skeevy Australians. I'm not interested in that. When I get a day off, the first thing I think is, I'm going to get so much drawing done. The idea of, traveling to somewhere like Bangkok, traveling to somewhere in Bali or Indonesia, and just, sitting in these bars getting drunk with other Australians and Brits, it seems like a nightmare to me. Even just sitting on a beach for even a couple of hours is like, I don't know. This looks just wrong. I don't know what it is, but it's wrong. Should be more like that. We got a bogan chat from David L. How the Lucent and Bancroft are creating an interesting world with excellent art and story. Thank you so much, David L. Speaking of which, please do. Let me stop this for a moment. Please do. One, go make sure you're on the mailing list over at thelucentcomic.com, where you can find all your Lucent stuff for sale, books, t-shirts, and puzzles, soon to be trading cards. Get on that mailing list. And also follow me over on globalcomics.com, where you can read 70,000 titles if you get their gold member. You can still read a lot of the bits of them for free. There actually are a lot of titles for free. Here, let me click publish to see what they got. Some good stuff in there. But if you get the gold, membership, $7.99 a month. You get like everything. But I'm planning on making digital a bigger part of my kind of outreach marketing platform, and also rewards for members like David L. Anyone else who wants to be a member. Camel says, I hate vacation. All I want to do is go back to work. I'm right there with you, Camel. 100%. Amanda says, my boss is traveling around Indonesia scuba diving. He'll be gone almost 6 weeks. That's a little bit different. That's if you're actually doing, see, that's if you have an interest in scuba diving and, you know, seeing coral reefs and stuff, that, okay, fine. Although I am reminded of that Ben Stiller movie where he gets cucked on his wedding night. Are you for scuba? What movie is that? Along Came Polly. Oh my God. How do I remember that? How do I remember that? But I can't remember the name of someone I streamed with like 2 days ago. The brain is an interesting thing. But just sort of sitting on a beach, sipping Mai Tais or whatever. No, that is not a life for me. No, thank you. Enjoy yourself. I'd much rather be drawing or playing poker or something. I don't know. How much of this do I want to actually shade, highlight? Not Indonesia. This is the first time and his longest trip testing out retirement. Traveling, actually seeing places is interesting. I'm down with that. You know, going to see historical things or seeing places you've always dreamt of going. I can get on board with that, but just like getting there and then sitting down. Like take a place like Rome, for example. There's more things you could see in Rome than you could ever see in a lifetime. I would go to Rome and just roam. I would roam Rome for a year before I would just sit on a beach in Fiji for a week. Jay says mental hard drive space is saved for important stuff. That's what I try and tell my kids when they say, you never remember my friends' names. But the crowd, says Amanda, the crowds are annoying. That is true. Surely there's times. Is there a down season for that sort of stuff? Like winter? I don't know. Yeah. The crowds become more of a deterrent the older you get, I think. I used to love being in a crowd when I was younger. You know, the hustle and bustle. Not anymore. Bancroft is planning to hire Sugar Chris as his Roman bathhouse tour guide. No, Michael Oden. We'll do a a tour of ancient sites, and the cool thing about the ancient sites are everywhere in Italy. I'll never forget eating gelato in Florence at this place, and we were just thinking it was cool because it was Victoria's first ice cream. She was 2, I think, at the time. She was loving it, by the way. Yeah, Victoria had her first taste of ice cream and pizza in Florence. And anyway, we're sitting there eating this ice cream, this gelato. It is spaghetti. We're eating gelato and pizza. And there was this wall, huge, I would say 30-foot high wall. You know, that sort of yellow stone, whatever that is, sandstone, I don't know. Let me just let me save it actually. And I was like, and then there was this enormous gate, these doors, like out of Lord of the Rings. You know, it was like the Black Gate of Mordor. It was just enormous. And I just thought, what is that? So I Googled it, and it was a 2,000-year-old Roman gate, essentially. It was part of the original interior of Florence. So you don't find that in Australia, you know. Mo says, Ogden is a bathhouse aficionado. Why am I not surprised? Can you imagine Odin and I in our togas hitting the bathhouses of Rome? A couple of bad boys for life. Debating, you know, who was a better warrior. Was it Gilgamesh? Was it Achilles? Was it Hercules? Was it Enkidu? I don't think it's Enkidu. It was too wild. What's up, Reese? He says, yo, Bancroft and everyone else. The Black Gate inspired Bancroft. It just stuck in my mind. I knew I'd found my path. I need to damn it. Yeah. Just gonna have to wing it. Yeah, we got we only had a couple of days in Florence and then a day to explore Rome, which Mel will remember was quite a day indeed. I got incredibly sick, nearly died of dysentery. I mean, if you ever seen that movie Bridesmaids, where she runs out onto the street in a wedding dress, I almost had that in the middle of Rome. And luckily I was saved by a Burger King, which ironically we call Hungry Jack's and jokingly call Runny Dax. It was bad. And then I was so sick, I nearly died in a hotel room in Rome. I'm always like that. It's the same in Paris. I nearly died in a hotel room in Paris. I just, my, you know, we do have very clean, safe, you know, things here in Australia. We sort of take it for granted, but our guts become weak and vulnerable. Barley belly probably kills 100 Australians a year. We just can't deal with this Mediterranean flavor. Burger King saves lives. It saved my life that day. Well, it saved my pants. That's for sure. But yeah, another holiday ruined. You know, best laid plans. Rome was such a beautiful city. It was so hot, I remember, and Victoria was being a 2-year-old, and I was dying, and yeah, it wasn't a great time. Love to go back though and do it properly. Oregon Trail, your entire family died of dysentery. It really did feel like that was on the cards for a short moment there. And I think it's down to my very Australian habit of just absent-mindedly chewing on ice, you know, that I might do. You think you're safe in wherever you are, in a chain restaurant or a hotel or something, but you just forget these things. Like, oh, that ice is from tap water. You know, you don't have the appropriate, gut my mycology, whatever it is, to deal with that. So yeah, don't be sucking on any ice cubes or whatever in a drink. I think that's what did it for me. Well, lesson learned. You know, if they offer you any water in a restaurant, just no, don't. At least that's my advice to any Australians out there. Doesn't matter how fancy the restaurant is. Mo says, I'll have a glass of water, boiled and sanitized, please. Yeah. Lol, I've only seen pregnant chicks chew ice. I don't know, it's just probably a habit of, I don't normally really have ice ever. But I guess it's just a habit I've picked up over the years. And I didn't really even think twice about it. But I should have. All right. This is really slow going. I'm not normally this slow, but I suppose I can't really say anything. But I'm thinking I want to get these. I want to get the front of these cards done because I want to do a cool, like, thing that I can actually, make a short of, make a video of, some sort of graphic. I don't know. Trailer sort of. I don't know if it'll be a trailer. It'll just be the cards. Like, I'm trying to use some After Effects or something a bit flashy. See what I can do. So I need to get these colored up. I know Sumo has been eagerly awaiting the Ella auction, the art for Ella. Don't want to let him down. It's going to be very interesting and fun with the, what's on the back of the cards. I was really happy with how I handled the sort of catch-up page in Painted Death, juxtaposing the lines from the book of Waking Dream with images to sort of try and tell a bit more of the story. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing with the cards too. I showed off ones yesterday, with Ella putting in a contact lens, and I think that's going to be interesting when I put the text on that. There's the helicopter being sabotaged. David L has got to go. Says Hal Chat F Danny, America and VB. We need to get some VB over to America. I don't know if you guys would like it though. It's very bitter. It's a working man's beer. It's not like your Bud Light. It's strong and hard. We have it at ABC Liquor. 5 minutes. There you go. Did you have a taste any, David? I would be interested. I don't think I've that's what I figured. 5 minutes from your house. I don't think I've met anyone in the chat who's actually had VB. A lot of Australians hate it because it's, you know, sort of like the cheap. The cheaper beer. But I love it. Not that I really drink anymore. Is it like Heineken? No, not at all. It's much more like not a pale ale, not a dark beer, something in the middle, like a German kind of beer. It's like it. I think it's very. You wouldn't call it crisp. It is bitter, but it is. If you can get it ice cold on a hot day, for me, there's nothing better. But it is very bitter. I couldn't actually drink it until I was, you know, in my late 30s. I mean, I did drink. Everyone drinks it when they're younger here because it's cheapest. Well, it used to be anyway. Nothing's cheap anymore. But I didn't really enjoy it. Whereas now, actually, because I think you lose your ability to taste bitterness as you age. That's why you can find yourself eating grapefruit and stuff. So I can actually taste the beer better. But no, it's not like Heineken at all. And I do like Heineken too. He says, I'll try it. It sounds good. Yeah, it's not everyone's taste, but it's an Australian staple. He says, I'm more of a Guinness guy. Right. Well, then, yeah, you would be used to strong flavors. If you're into Guinness, I mean, you'd have no problem at all with a VB. Guinness is, I like the taste of Guinness with, you know, the first like 5 or so mouthfuls. And then I was like, I can't drink this anymore. It's too much. Which is kind of like a dark beer from Germany. Although I do like a Lech, which is very strong. But I can't have more than one of them. They're like 8% alcohol. It's like drinking whiskey, almost. Mo says, yes, as we become more bitter with age, our taste buds adjust. Yes, I think that's what it is. I'm guessing VB is similar to Bass Ale. I could be wrong. Unfortunately, I can't let you know. Drink hard liquor, be a man. That's pretty much all I drink now, Immortal Rising. But I don't really drink much anymore. I used to, have a whiskey every now and then. I do love whiskey. I drink it neat. But I just kind of stopped. I had to stop drinking the beer because of the old. I'm getting older now. It's gonna be a bit more cognizant of the old gut, if you know what I mean. Mo's got to head out. See you, Mo. Always a pleasure. The great Mo Biggs, Golden Wrench winner. Nominated for community ambassador, I believe. Rightly so. Only drink on birthday and New Year's Eve, says David L. Yeah, that's the only time I drink. Not only in those times, but when I'm in a social setting, which admittedly isn't that much these days. Very, very rarely have I ever been one of those people that's like, oh, I need a drink. You know, it's never really been my thing. But I'll tell people here in Australia, especially, like you said, like, oh, I haven't really had a drink in, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, and they look at you like, what are you? Like, you don't drink? I'm like, no, I drink. It's like, what do you like? Because they're all, a lot of them, they'll have a wine every night with dinner or something. This is the thing to do. I think it's actually a trend I read. People are drinking less. Henry says the thing with drinking beers is you have to do a commensurate amount of exercise. Well, that's the part I'm lacking. Amanda says that's me, but that glass turns into 3. I just realized eventually I don't really enjoy wine, I don't hate it, but I would rather have a cup of tea, honestly, than a glass of wine. It probably sounds lame, but that's how I feel. I do enjoy beer, though. I wish I could drink more beer, but it does. I do feel like heavy afterwards. Like, maybe it's the beer I'm drinking. Not really. The everyday part, not the 3 glasses part. That's what happens to a lot of people, though. That's the reality for them. They polish off a bottle of wine a night with their partner or whatever. They don't. There's not the wine mum stereotype for no reason. Wine gives me terrible hangovers. I haven't drunk enough to get a hangover in so long. I do not miss hangovers at all. You should just be a weekly thing. Cranberry Lange is in the house, who I call Cranberry now because his name is a mouthful. He says, I'm lurking, but pretend I'm saying hello to all of you. And he says, happy other Freedom Day. Happy indeed. You're all enjoying yourselves, basking in the glory. Malbec is the only type Amanda likes. It's super sweet table wine. You know what I do like every now and then. It's a bit weird. Is port wine. A little sip of that super sweet port. And it's really not something you want to have all that often, but I like it. Makes me feel like I'm in a Charles Dickens novel. Johnny Renner says, exactly. I just got a new kettle recently, life-changing. That's a thing that blows Australians' minds, is that not every house has an electric kettle or even a kettle in the States, because, hot tea drinking is not as prevalent there. I drink copious amounts of tea. At every Australian, it's the first thing you say. You want a cup of tea when you come, to someone's house? Do you want a cup of tea? That's what you offer them. And it's not a cold, sweet tea either. It's a hot tea. Jim says, what is going on in Germany? I don't know. What is going on in Germany? I mentioned it about, an hour ago, where I said they seem to be heading in the way of a lot of other European countries. But is there anything specific happening in Germany? News-wise? I'm just going to color these in. Do you also have coffee makers? Yes, that's another thing. Every Australian home that actually drinks coffee, and Mel is a big coffee drinker. Well, I say big, she loves her coffee. She doesn't drink lots of coffee. She drinks like 1 or 2 a day. Has a coffee machine, an actual coffee machine, not a drip thing, not like an actual mini, what you would find in a coffee shop, like a barista thing. That's just standard here. Australians do not drink drip feed coffee. They don't drink instant coffee. I don't really see espresso machines much, but they'll have an actual, where you grind the coffee bean and all that sort of stuff. German coalition collapses dramatically. Damn. Pressure mounts on Schultz to trigger election soon. I'll have to look into it. Jav would know. He was here earlier. What is up? John's Long Box. Shout out to John. John recently got his book printed, and I believe is shipping soon. Is that correct? Or already shipping? Congratulations. Everyone loves John. A fellow board game enthusiast, but like an actual enthusiast, not like me. I just dabble. I just play with my families on the kitchen table. An on-time book, unheard of. Shipping next week. Excellent. If Felix Haas was here, he would put the link in the chat, but I don't think he's up and around at the moment. Had formatting issues that delayed printing for 2 weeks. Yeah, I've helped out a bunch of people, most recently Vaughn Coleman on pre-press and stuff like that. It's really is something that you just kind of take for granted if you know that stuff. And if you don't, yeah, you can get caught out pretty easily, especially when printers get pedantic with how they want it set up, which they sometimes can get. And you don't know how to make those adjustments, then yeah, it's not difficult to get trapped. And even guys who've been doing it a long time, you know, they come to guys like me or Shelby as well, you know, because we have that expertise from our day jobs. And yeah, it is a huge learning curve. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, this is the sort of stuff that publishers would handle. They have teams for this, but when you go out, it's not something a lot of people anticipate necessarily. That no, there's a lot that goes into printing anything, especially. And I said this to Vaughn. I said, you know, I've been printing things for over 20 years, all sorts of things, from pamphlets to massive books to magazines to huge flags and banners and all sorts of crazy stuff. But comic books is a different beast, because in a comic book, you really have to pay attention to the art, and the line art especially is a difficult problem, because that's, I think, what we ran into on Terror in the Trenches. Or was it Kataru? Can't remember. One of Von Klaus's was, you know, getting that line art consistent across the board in terms of how it was printing, and it's not easy to sort of pick all that stuff apart and get to the printer, but we got there. We always get there. I'm trying to be ahead for next issue, says John. Jim says, sounds like they're primed for a Trump moment. I hope so. It seems to be definitely the trend in Europe. People in Europe have really had enough. I mean, anyone who's been to Europe in the last 20 years and gone back and seen what it is now, it is unrecognizable. And, you know, it's like they're really sort of, the globalist machine is in full swing over there. And some of these cities are just completely unrecognizable, and to think that the populations would just, you know, and these are indigenous populations, keep in mind. This is the left's whole thing. These are the indigenous people of these lands, and they're just being told to, well, your country is now not yours anymore. And not only that, it's going to be super dangerous and antithetical to everything you've known for thousands of years. Deal with it. It's like, it just wasn't going to happen easily. They got pretty close, but a lot of these countries are sort of fighting back, so it's good to see. They hate acknowledging that, you know, the white populations of Western Europe are indigenous to those lands. They hate acknowledging that. They never do. Jim says, I visited Germany once. The US Army base I visited is now a migrant refugee camp. I don't wish to go back to that city. Paris is. There's whole areas of Paris. You just no-go zones. It's crazy. There we go. Heroic Tales. There's the link to fund my comic. Oh, hang on. That's a better one. A bit cleaner. Go over and grab it. Sounds like you'll get it in a couple of weeks. I mean, depending how long it takes to arrive. I tried that share symbol. Apparently it doesn't like it. Well, thank you nonetheless, Amanda. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pin that. Pin that for John. Anyone who hasn't gotten it, it's that right there. You can go grab Heroic Tales over on Fund My Comic. Camel says, It's hilariously ironic, though. If they would have just taken the L and not played games, Trump would be having his second term right now. Instead, they play. And he's going to rot these people's brains for another 4 years. There's a quote. I learnt it through Christopher Hitchens back in the day. It's a story. Of a lawyer who says he gets, he's just doing crazy stuff, and someone calls him out on it and says, you'd break the law to prosecute the devil. And he says, break the law. He says, I'd tear down every law in England to prosecute him. And the guy's like, yes, you would, wouldn't you? And then when all the laws of England are gone, where would you turn to when the devil turns around to face you? That's sort of what I see the left doing. And they're like, literally would destroy the country before willingly passing the flag, the baton, to the other side in what would happen in a normal situation where you got some Republicans for a few years, you got Democrats for a few years, Republicans back and forth. That was untenable for them. And yeah, they played silly games and now they win silly prizes. We got Katie in the house. What's up, Katie? Great to see you here. Katie is a puzzle gator. I don't have love for that label. Katie bought a Lucent puzzle. Very much appreciated. Did it on a live stream. Jim says, yes, the salt mines are open for business. Hyper Wizard says, I keep breaking out in fits of joy for some mysterious reason. John's Longbox, is Australia turning a corner yet? No, it is turning a corner for the worst. We keep going around the same corner. It's a one continuous corner that just goes down and down and down and down and down, like going down the drain. At the start of the show, I just pointed out that Australia has just passed a bill through the House, which is the lower house, so it's still got to go through the Senate, to introduce Chinese-style internet ID to track adults on the internet and to block. They pushed it through under the auspices of blocking children, but it's called the Government Disinformation Protection Act or something like that. So yeah, that's where we're at in Australia. Every American says this is why guns are good. Everyone who says that, I appreciate it. I love you guys. You don't understand the Australian mindset. And the average Australian, when I say the average, the plurality of Australians, if the government came to take their kids from them and an Australian had a shotgun in their hand, they would stand there and not fire. They would just let it happen. That's the Australian mindset. Government authority are the good guys. You don't have to like it. You don't have to understand it, but that's the situation. It wouldn't matter if every single Australian was armed to the teeth. The lockdowns would have happened exactly the same. That's the reality of Australian culture. Cremy says that's really depressing. It is. Talk to an Australian about freedom. Talk to them about liberty. You may as well be speaking foreign language. They don't understand it. They don't accept it. The concept of sort of like, what is it? John Locke, freedom, liberty, freedom of speech. That idea that rights exist outside of the government, and are sort of inalienable and God-given. That is completely foreign to an Australian. They have literally said to my face, "That's Yankee bullshit. We don't have that here. We don't want it here." They've literally said that to me on more than one occasion. Actually, called it Yankee bullshit. I've always been in danger of speaking on YouTube. That's like all you guys joke about the slur for Aboriginals. If I said that, yeah, that would be like, and people found out about it. Yeah, that would be a legal issue for me. As for this new law, I'm thinking all Australians who don't want a a user ID or like a tracking thing on their internet is just going to have to get a VPN and just pretend to be American. I think so. I don't know. I mean, we don't know. It hasn't passed yet. It passed in the House, I'm pretty sure. They need to go through the Senate. The Senate is usually a bit more based than the House, but I don't know. Pretty much the same in the UK. Yeah, we have these commissions and all these sort of things. You absolutely, it is against the law. I mean, I wish I knew the exact thing, but it is against the law to offend someone. Usually it's, offend protected classes, whatever that is. Using a communication, I think they call it a carrier service, which includes the internet, something like that. It is illegal to offend someone on the internet in Australia. But what are they going to, like, how do they prove it? Was it malicious? Usually what's happened, usually this only gets applied to sort of big journalists who kind of go against the grain, and they get hauled in front of these commissions where they have to explain themselves, and it's all a big farce, and I guess they have to pay for lawyers and whatever. Why don't you freedom-loving people pretend to be American in America? Let's talk to people who have to get green cards. I don't think it's particularly easy. I don't think it's particularly cheap. I think you have to have a fair amount of money saved up. Pretty sure. I don't think it's a matter of just picking up your life and moving to America. I don't think that's unless you want to just walk in through the southern border. Ellie says, I'm of the belief that every country should adopt the American Constitution, otherwise they aren't truly free. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be the American Constitution is very specific to America, but some sort of equivalent Bill of Rights. Yeah, it's expensive and a hassle. Yeah. Now we would move to France, but France is no better for different reasons. Katie says, it's not illegal to offend a Brit, just everyone else, lol. Exactly. And I think that's going to be the powder keg. That's going to be the real thing that ends up breaking the whole system eventually. I hope. is the two-tier system, the two-tier policing, the two-tier hypocrisy on, from all the institutions and everything. Because it can't go on. I mean, eventually, you would hope. But it's so blatant in the UK, especially. We've got Dave Brink in the house. They put up laws to control and enslave you using bullshit reasons that everyone knows are lies. Somehow still gets implemented. Yeah, I'll never forget, and I wish I remembered the speech. But one of our old so-called conservative prime ministers, totally not conservative in any way, but whatever, was giving a speech. What it was about, but I just remember listening to it being so gobsmacked because it was so blatantly obvious that he was lying, and everyone knew, and no one said anything. The reporters didn't say anything. It was just okay. This is what we're doing now. I was like, oh my god. Like this is reality. Everyone, you just got to sort of maintain the line to maintain something. I remember how crazy it was. Idone says, yes, how very Canadian of you. Yeah, I mean, Canada and Australia have very similar, I would say, philosophical beginnings. I think that has to sort of play out in that psyche of the nation plays out in the sort of politics in a way that wouldn't ever happen in the States, where the States has that history of revolution and rebellion and fighting back against tyranny, whereas Australia never had that. I don't think Canada did either. The appearance of normalcy. Yes. Oh, cranberry. That is a great. Oh my God. Yes. The appearance of normalcy, even when the reality is the complete opposite. As long as everyone just pretends like everything is normal, then they'll go along with it. It's so true. That was like how much freedom and liberty Australians were so happy and celebrating to give up during COVID for the appearance of safety. And it wasn't even, nothing that was done changed anything, did anything. It wouldn't have mattered if they did it or not. All it did was suppress people's freedoms. I think Americans have become the same as you say Aussie are Bancroft. I think a lot of them have, but I think thankfully a lot of them haven't. There really does seem to be two Americas right now. One of them is the Australian and the other one is the old America. And thankfully the old America is still alive and kicking. And that's what happened the other day. But we don't have that. The old Australia is the sort of British Australia. And you can see what's going on in England. They're not really fighting for their, themselves, essentially. Camel says, I remember your president or prime minister taking a Zoom call with like 10 COVID doctors and not listening to one of them and then ending the call and calling the entire thing a waste of time. Remember the supercomputer? Remember the journalists were like, where are you getting all this information? Because we can't find it. It's like, oh, we've got a very powerful supercomputer that does these models, and it's letting us know this is what we have to do to be able to keep all this thing under control. It's like a supercomputer. Yeah. Can we see this supercomputer? It's like, no. That was literally like that. And the other great one was when there was the chief of police and the chief of health on either side, and then the premier in the middle, and they were asking about the curfews, because we had an 8 p.m. curfew for over a year. Couldn't go outside without a very good reason. And the journalist asked the premier, whose idea was this curfew? What's the reason? And the premier said, well, that's a health thing. And turned to the health guy, and it was a woman. She said, no, that was a police thing. And then the policeman said, no, we didn't ask for that. And then the premier was like, huh? Like that. And then they pushed on it, and then eventually they came up with us, because they didn't have any reason, obviously. They came with it and they said, oh, it was about compliance. It was about ensuring that people were complying with the police measures. And they just said it. It's like, oh, okay. That's why you unconstitutionally locked millions of Victorians in their homes for over a year after 8 o'clock. Okay, compliance, sure. It was literally like living in V for Vendetta. Katie says, they won't keep the real Brits down. It's not as bleak as the media would have you think. 90% of Brits don't. Yeah, it's the same in Australia. Whenever they ask a pointed question to Australians, it's, yeah, everyone is against what the government is doing, but then they keep voting in the government. And the models were all wrong. Yeah. And there's no repercussions. Remember Dan Andrews is sitting on a $400,000 a year pension. If all Australians had their guns back, would your government be able to do that? Jim, you just came in, and thank you for being here. I just said, if every single Australian had a gun, nothing would be different. Nothing. It's not the Australian mindset. The average Australian mindset is not the American mindset. It's just not the same. Second point, we do have guns. We have lots of guns. We have 25 million people in Australia, and I think 3.6 million households are packing. So, percentage-wise, it's not the same as America, but it is actually quite high globally. We don't have handguns. We have rifles and shotguns. But it's actually very tricky to have a handgun. You got to be part of a sports club. It's a lot of rigmarole. But most suburban houses wouldn't have a gun. But there's still a lot of guns out there. Is what I'm saying. They did a buyback, but there wasn't a complete ban. There's a gun shop down the road, man. But yeah, the Australians wouldn't use it. I said it probably gets to the point where most Australians, if the government came over to take your kids to their indoctrination camp, and you had a shotgun, they wouldn't use it. I mean, they wouldn't. They would just let them take them. That's how it is. We got Well Read in the house. What's up, Well Read? I'm looking forward to reviewing Ghost of the Badlands on Well Read's channel soon. Very exciting. I think I'm done. I got to go to work. I'm not done, but for now. Did a little bit. What did I do? I did this. So this is the mask I'll use to do the colors. And get it nice and use the brush and everything. These are just the sort of the flats of the colors, if you will. And a good little start. 1 down, 9 to go. Thank you, Ellie. I'm very excited about these. I think I should be able to get the colors done in the next week, I hope. And then once that's done, I'll start getting some promo stuff together, and then we'll just go live with these. I'll work on the backs as I go. They don't take that long, you know, a day or two for each. And I've got 11 to do, you know, so it's like about a month's work, I think. A ciao Bancroft. God bless America, and congrats all to God bless America. Let's play that video again on the way out. Why not? Thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go to work, and I will see you tomorrow. I do believe I'm going to have Mark Poulton and Chris on. We're going to be talk Rather Than Pain, I believe. That was scheduled a long time ago. I haven't spoken to Mark since, but I'm guessing that's still happening. So enjoy yourselves. Where's that video? There it is. See you guys. Bye.
America.